I've told you once before, and I'll tell you again. We're heading to a clearing. A nice secluded spot for us to practice initial magic. You've been looking at your reading, haven't you? Good. Then what was the very first rule of magic? Very good. Everything is volatile and unstable. You are dealing with what violates the laws of physics and the laws of our reality. Anything that violates such a crucial figurehead of our reality must be treated with care and respect. Primarily with understanding and research. Slow and steady. What was rule number 2? Good again. Magic and machines do not mix. Do not attempt to allow them to mix. Anything that is reliant on the rules of law, be it chemical reaction, physics, or whatever else it may be, it can fall prey to any kind of issues when magic comes into play. What you may seem as a simple way to flip a coin and have it always land heads up, instead may, in a very small circle of space, violate gravity very briefly. And when it does so, everything that is reliant upon gravity in that area, even for the briefest of moments, cannot rely on it. Magic is unpredictable. So, no matter what, you will never treat it as though you understand it completely. There is always more to learn. We're here. Now, the other day I had handed you a book, a blank one. You should have been keeping notes, and in your studies should have known that there was something to prepare for today. Have you done so? You were unable to complete all your training. I see. What came in the way? Ah. Well, it is only your 3rd day under my apprenticeship. I will be lenient for now, but do not make the same mistake twice. When I give you an assignment, you will complete it to its fullest. Am I understood, girl? Very good. Well, as it so happened, I managed to prepare at least one rune for you to work with. I'll remove it from my book instead. This is a rune. More accurately, a rune of a spell. Can you look at its inscription and give me an idea of what it might do? Look at it carefully. Notice the way the calligraphy flows. Notice the way it circles or it doesn't. Find gaps, find openings, and find closure. Not a bad guess. No, you're not entirely wrong, but you're also not accurate enough to where I'd like. Think for a moment. A spell as grandiose as conjuring fire. Something like that would require heat, would it not? And somewhere for that fire to go, if not somewhere for that fire to be shielded from. Do you see any markings that would indicate shielding or direction? No. So, with that, we can infer that there is unlikely anything harmful about what is being created. Nor is it something to be directed. So if this is the case, it would be something that would simply appear within our hand, yes? Very good. So, look closely again. She finally figures it out. Yes, you're not mistaken. This is a rune in the creation and summoning spell of making a sandwich. Why would you ever need this? Darling, please. Are you being honest with me? Alrighty then. Let me try to explain it in simple terms. Not simple terms, I'm sorry. That sounds demeaning. Let me try to explain it in a way that at least makes sense as to why you would go through the effort of casting a spell to create something so mundane. First and foremost, you're a human, are you not? I thought so. Well, as a human, one of our basic necessities due to our biological existence is to eat. Yes? Wonderful. Now, how nice would it be if, say, we were out and about in the woods and foraging for food was no longer a problem? You could simply snap your fingers, and with a little bit of exertion of will and a small amount of energy price being paid, you could simply have your lunch here. Yes, there are limitations to it, and in particular, this one is quite a small thing to have, but it makes for fine practice. So, from this day henceforth, you are on your own for lunch. Plain and simple. If you would like something else, you're welcome to either simply cast another spell, and by that I mean research diligently and bring it to me to confirm whether or not the rune is appropriate or not, and then cast it. Or you may cast this one, or you can prepare something yourself. Simple encouragement to show you how powerful something so simple and mundane can be. So please, hold out your hand, focus on that rune, and cast the spell. Ah, very good. Well, now it's my turn. How very perceptive of you, my apprentice. Yes, this is not a sandwich. It's a brownie. What? Am I not allowed to indulge myself from time to time? I'm sorry if your teacher can't help her sweet tooth. After all, I do love chocolate. And more particularly, my favorite part about summoning a spell, and summoning food in particular, take a bite. Perfect, isn't it? You see, if it's taken care to also craft the spell in the best possible way, the creation that you make is as you ideally intend. So for me, it is a warm brownie, not so hot as though it had just come from the oven, but enough so that it is still warm into the mouth. It melts away right away, creates that delicious gooey texture that I quite love and crave. What about you? How does your perfect sandwich come out? Interesting. I had not pictured that, but I suppose that would actually be quite delicious. Mm. And I'm glad to see that you have an appreciation of warm and crunchy food in particular. How nice is it to instantly just have in your hand a toasted sandwich? Not only that, but I'm sure you felt the cost, yes. Magic is not. It is much like everything else in our world. It is not free. Everything comes at a cost. More often than not, for basic spells, it comes with the cost of energy. And when there is not something for it to take the energy of, it will always take the energy of those who cast it. Thus why we start small and build our way up. If I had you casting something dangerous like a fireball right away, even if you could handle the incantations and the memory that comes with it, the drain that it could have on you would, well, it could potentially kill you. Thus, that brings us to my second lesson of the day. Foci, or, for an individual like yourself, a focus. A focus is an object of power that we use to wield magic. It helps us direct and it helps us channel things from us and into us. So, what are some examples of a focus that you can think of? Oftentimes, when you see or hear about depictions of a wizard or a witch casting spells, do you see it simply flying from their hands, or. Yes, very good. A wand is one example. A staff is another. For myself, I typically rely upon my grimoire. You've seen me carrying around this book at all times, have you not? Some even have taken to using the focus of their familiar. Others I've seen have imbued it into a sword or a shield, even times a gauntlet, a bracer. Many things can take the shape of a focus. It does not matter what the object is, but how it can be used, and what it means to the wielder. Oftentimes, a focus also helps represent to us something important. Many wizards that you know that, or may not know, that wield a staff as a focus are typically up there in their age. And thus, their focus also serves double as a cane, support, something that they are reliant on and something that is important to them. Sometimes with a wand, it could be a teacher, an instructor in an academy, often using a pointing stick or a ruler. Yes, very good. Books are very important to me. The stories that they tell are. They have helped me keep my mind when otherwise it would have gone. So, this is something to think about and come to a conclusion on. What will be your focus? You needn't figure it out right away. Time will come. No matter how long it takes, eventually you will find your focus. And even then, for now, channeling through your hands and through your body is good enough. Especially because right now, our primary goal is to work on your tolerance, your endurance, and what many of us spellcasters often refer to as your mana. Think of it as your magical muscles. When somebody who is trained in combat or somebody who is trained in strength or in any other kind of exercises, they typically work out their muscles. They strain them, and thus they grow, allowing them to take on harder, more difficult, and more strenuous tasks. And thus the cycle continues. Mana is much like that for a mage. If you do not use it, you will lose it. But if you keep straining it, pushing it, not dangerously slow, but enough to give it work, you will see it grow and grow and grow, thus allowing for casting more intricate, complex, and dangerous spells. But that will be our first lesson for today. You have a question? Very well. What would that be? Why did I take you out here? Threefold. One, you've been cooped up in here for a while. Being in my shack for too long is bad for the mind and bad for the soul. It's good to get out. Two, if the spell had gone wrong that you had cast and you exploded, I didn't want any of my personal effects to be damaged. I didn't seriously think it would happen, but a good rule of thumb is to never practice magic indoors. And three, well, I quite like this spot. And I wanted to bring you here. It is a lovely spot. Hi there. Thank you so much for listening to part 3 of The Witch of the Woods. I hope you're enjoying this series as much as I am in creating it. It's an absolute blast. Please feel free to comment down below. I love hearing every single thought and opinion that you might have, and it also really helps out the channel to begin with too. If you like that and want to hear more, you're welcome to subscribe, where I'm posting out content every week. And if you'd like to see more adult-themed content, you're welcome to check out my Patreon, link below in the description, as well as a link to our Discord, where we do hangouts, movie nights, or other fun games. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a lovely morning, evening, or afternoon.